ReZero Season 3 Episode 15 is one of the most event-packed episodes this season. With so much to discuss regarding the events of this episode, I say without further ado, let's talk about it. I won't be discussing the battles in chronological order, so sorry if this video is formatted a bit weirdly. This video will also be fairly short since there isn't as much to discuss or analyze about this episode, despite it being very eventful. The battle between Al and Capella continues to rejoin, as we are told that Al has killed Capella over 20 times already. Even after throwing everything at Capella, she just still doesn't fall down, prompting Al to say he couldn't kill Capella even if he died 100 times. In the novels, Al says right after that he's pushing 50, which is very heavy implication that Al also has a looping ability just like Subaru. Al also says that dying hurts, especially when it's your first time, which would also serve as further implication to him having a looping ability. That aside, we then see Capella transform into a dragon after chatting for a bit with Al. Right after she transforms into a dragon, Al collapses the city hall onto her. To escape the collapsing city hall, Al jumps into one of the nearby waterways, leading to him finding himself washed up on the shore of one of the canals near City Hall. Al mentions that he would like to take off his helmet. Anastasia hears this, prompting her to reply that she wouldn't mind seeing his face. This causes Al to dismiss her by saying he doesn't want anyone to see it. Felix links up with the two before saying he doesn't feel confident that they took out Capella, as she tanked a blow straight to the face from Anastasia's magic. This causes Al to suspect that something is up with Anastasia, as Anastasia with her defective gate shouldn't be capable of using magic. Al continues to be confused about what's going on as he starts pressing Anastasia. Felix steps in between Zal's blade and Anastasia's chest. He remarks about how now isn't the time for fighting in between allies, reminding Al that they most likely have bigger fish to fry. Capella then reappears from the rubble in the form of an extremely well-animated horde of rats. Capella's survival causes Al to be disappointed that the collapsed city hall did zero damage to her. Capella is gleeful at how hard they tried to take her out. She then comments on how she's leaving because the gospel told her so, right before bringing in a horde of demi beasts to finish off the group. When asked about her wicked ways, she responds by saying that nobody told her not to play with corpses. Felix wants to stop Capella from running away and he wants to execute her, hoping that the end of Capella's wicked life would get Crush out of her precarious situation. This causes Capella to mock Felix by saying that even if they killed her, this would do nothing to the dragon blood within Crush. Capella commands the horde of demi beasts to attack the group. The following sequence of Al, Anastasia and Felix running away is surprisingly well animated. Before the demi beasts can catch up, Reinhardt sweeps in and obliterates the demi beasts like a damn nuke. We see that Reinhardt is heavily impacted by the events of the previous episode. He almost reiterates to himself that he'll fulfill his duties as a sword saint. Cutting to the battles against Gluttony, we see that Julius and Ricardo have made very little progress against Roy. Roy loses a lunar eclipse, something that's erroneously mistranslated by Crunchyroll to cause Julius and Ricardo a catastrophic amount of damage. Roy, representing the bizarre eating aspect of Gluttony, means that he basically eats anyone he comes across, which means fighting him is basically like fighting an army, especially when he uses a lunar eclipse, a power that allows him to copy the abilities of people he's eaten. Roy tells Julius his attacks took out 88 other pretty boys, which funnily enough causes Julius to be disappointed that such an incredible fighter would take the path of evil. Roy keeps calling Julius Nisama, and he mentions the apple Julius brought to him when they were younger. Roy's words cause Julius to lash out, something that's strange for someone as composed and collected as Julius. It seems like Roy's words are taking a very heavy toll on Julius. It's also a very nice parallel to an earlier Subaru, with Julius biting his lip to the point of bleeding. On the other side of Pristella, the battle against Lai Batincanius continues to rejoin. Lai, who represents the gourmet aspect of Gluttony, only eats specific people he likes, which probably indicates he's an even better fighter than his brother. After Otto saves Gaston, Lai comments on how Otto, Dinas and Gaston are all worthy of his plate. Lai, much like Rui, is a genius at fighting, something that Dinas notes must come from training. This clues Subaru in on the authority of Gluttony. After devouring some of the members of the White Dragon Scale, Lai tells Dinas that it's not his fault he couldn't protect Mealy or Milliam. That Mealy is probably the assassin we saw last season, so it's interesting how she's connected to Dinas. I wonder if Dinas will play a major role later on in the story. Otto tells the other fighters not to mention him by name, and funnily enough, literally no one there knows the name. Benefiting from being a random is kinda hilarious. That aside, as they continue clashing with Lai, Otto plants some magic crystals on him. They do little damage to Lai, but they reveal his upper body. Otto sees scars of physical and potentially sexual abuse covering Lai's body. Otto is stunned by the sight sight of Eli's body and is almost finished off by the Archbishop, but someone saves him. The great spirit of the Forbidden Library, Beatrice, enters the fray against the Archbishop of Gluttony. Beatrice reminds Otto that archbishops are monsters that shouldn't be sympathized with, as she begins to square off with Eli. Eli comments on how Beatrice Sama has gotten outside of the Forbidden Library using Grimm's memories to communicate with Beatrice. He finishes off his tirade by talking about his beloved hero Natsuki Subaru. Eli's actions infuriate Otto and Beatrice, something that they unanimously think Subaru should never see. Regarding this episode, I'd have to say it's one of my favorite adaptations this season. To my knowledge, this episode only adapts around 65% of what most episodes adapt, which leads to a better pacing in my opinion. Capella is as always incredible in the anime. I think the anime really nailed the malicious nature of her character. We get more insights into Ali's character and how he might be a looper just like Subaru, and the novel is it's a lot more apparent, which is something that adds to the mystery of his character. Lai and Rui get some interesting characterization this episode, as they both represent a different aspect of gluttony that I believe gives them both very interesting and distinct personalities. While the animation of this episode is kind of weak, I really like the direction choices made during this episode. I especially love the way the Julius backstory was adapted, with Joshua being a hazy memory in Julius's mind. The title card this episode is also incredibly creative, and it's really cool foreshadowing for certain events during Arc 6. This episode is the second to last episode of this season, so I hope you will stay with me when I cover the last episode. I will also make a full retrospective on this season alongside multiple analyses covering numerous characters, so make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more ReZero and media related content. If you liked this video, again comment, like and subscribe, and follow me on TikTok, Instagram and Twitter as I occasionally post content there. Also follow my friend Sholt, because he's the one who's making the thumbnails for this video. That's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.